Hey, Curtis.
Hey,
What do
Oz.
you got for us this week? What do you got for us this week?
This week, we've got Waiting for Guffman meets The Westminster Dog Show meets Stifler's mom and Jim's dad.
Oh!
This week, we're talking about Best in Show.
I was not anticipating an American Pie riff, but it makes complete sense.
Why not?
Because they pretty much are those characters in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So, welcome back, listeners and viewers, to another week of Let's Talk About Flicks, the weekly podcast where we take a monthly theme and we just basically talk about whatever movies we want to.
Yep.
As long as they fall under the umbrella. I think it's fair to say, if you haven't been paying attention, I know I have. I pretty much come up with a movie that I want to talk about, and then I figure out some kind of theme that fits it in the window.
Yeah, you kind of retrofit the theme to the movie.
Right. Yeah. It's how do I talk about this movie? I know, it's a mockumentary, so let's do that. So it is. I feel like it's like we each have maybe half to 40% of the month is what we want to discuss, and then we just kind of drag more in to finish the month. But they're still fun. Yeah. So and so before we get started, I want to give a shout out to Patreon subscriber Don S. Thank you, Don, for your constant patronage and adoption into the Chicago Indie Critics.
I feel like I'm one of his children now.
I resemble him more than you do. So,
Don, I'm expecting presents at the holidays.
That's true. Yeah. So make sure you hook us up, Don. But until then, thanks for hooking us up, Don, with your monthly patronage. So, like you said, we've got we're week 3 mockumentary month, and we're tackling Christopher Guest's Best in Show. A movie that if you've seen it, you likely love it, except for the person in my outside insight.
Same. Yeah, I found somebody who's not a fan.
Yeah, and I would put that the movie is lost on them. I don't blame Christopher Guest and the actors for my outside insiders review. I blame their inability to see the forest through the trees. There's someone that probably like Kevin James isn't in it, so it can't be that funny.
Where's the Lambos?
Right. It's like this in comedy to me is Carrot Top. If it ain't Carrot Top, it ain't funny. If it isn't not
enough props in this movie.
Right. It's worse than ventriloquist dummies. This isn't Jeff Dunham. It isn't funny.
Well, there are ventriloquist dummies, but it's not.
There is.
It's not Jeff Dunham.
Right. The promise was lost. I thought it would be Jeff Dunham. So, before we get into Best in Show, though, I would love to share who I feel this immense cast of characters.
Yes, we have quite a large cast here, Oz.
Yeah. I'm going to break it down into couples.
Yes,
if that's
that
okay
makes
with
sense.
you. I'm going to start with the Flex, Jerry and Cookie, played by Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara. They are the owners of Winky, the Norwich Terrier. Also going to talk about Scott Donlan and Stefan Vanderhoof, played by John Michael Higgins and Michael McKeon. By the way, just virtually everybody we're mentioning are like improv masters.
Yes.
So, these movies fall apart pretty quickly if you don't have someone that can think on their feet, and these people definitely do. So Scott and Stefan are the owner and handler of Miss Agnes, the Shih Tzu. We have Hamilton and Meg Swan, played by Michael Hitchcock and Parker Posey, which, like I mentioned, pre-show is probably my favorite couple of the movie. Although it's a photo finish for everybody.
Yeah, they're all great.
So Hamilton and Meg are they are the owners of Beatrice the Weimaraner. We have Sherry Ann Cabot and Christy Cummins, played by Jennifer Coolidge and Jane Lynch, the owner and handler of Rhapsody in White, the standard poodle. Got to keep those hip joints warm. We have the director himself, Christopher Guest, starring as Harlan Pepper, the owner of Hubert the Bloodhound.
The master of the Mockumentary Forum, Christopher Guest.
Yeah, he's a bloodhound man. He's a bloodhound man.
Pistachio nut.
Can name all kinds of nuts.
It's from a town called Pine Nut.
Pine Nut. It's not only a nut, it's a town. And then we've got a lot of ancillary characters. Larry Miller pops in as Max Berman, a friend of the Flex, who is a master negotiator of suicidal jumpers.
Yeah. Here, we've got industry secret. They always jump.
Nothing you can do about it. We've got the judges of our dog show, Trevor Beckwith and Buck Laughlin, played by Chip Paddock, and the always sensational Fred Willard. We've got hotel manager Mark Schaefer, played by another just master of improv, Ed Bagley Jr. And that's about it. We get Will Sasso showing up again in a much better turn than he did 2 weeks ago. Pretty much playing the same character, though. Just talking about fishing.
Yeah.
And that's about it, really. I mean, there's others here and there, but by the bulk of it, this movie is about our dog show owners, handlers, and contestants. And so I'm looking forward to hearing the plot of said movie, as it definitely is more plot-based than what we've covered last week, for sure.
Yes, there is a through line here in Best in Show as opposed to what we do in the shadows. That said, again, with mockumentaries, it's much more about the performance than it is about the plot, than the story. So what I'm going to do here, there's kind of 3 acts to the movie. The first act is just kind of getting to know the characters as you kind of bounce around to the different owners and couples. Then there's a little bit of pre-show, and then there's the show itself. So the way I'm going to break this down, because at the beginning you kind of jump all over the place to different characters. So for the sake of going a little non-linear here, I'm going to make it a little easier on Oz and I, and just kind of here's how the characters are introduced and kind of how they get to the show and how they get settled in at the show itself. So we're going to start with Meg and Hamilton Swan, as they are the first characters we see in the movie. It opens, I love these two. They're talking with a therapist. They were having sex, and the dog walked in on them, and the dog just hasn't been the same since. Beatrice the Weimaraner, she hasn't been the same. She's bored, she's distant, she can be cruel, and the camera pulls back, and Beatrice is there. With her head just laying on the shoulder of a small armchair. It gives a lot of insight into Meg and Hamilton right away, because you could tell they are your yuppie characters.
By far. They met at Starbucks.
But it wasn't the same Starbucks, though. I was at one Starbucks, he was at the other Starbucks across the street, and I was reading an L.L. Bean catalog. And
yeah, they're both adults with braces, and were raised on catalogs, and J. Crew is their guiding star.
Yep. They very much love their name brands and their catalogs and their chai tea lattes, and they are the characters that are supposed to kind of annoy you. As I was
success.
Yes, as Oz and I were talking pre-show, we both struggled coming up with bads for our 3-2-1s later on, and for a moment it's like, I don't really like Meg and Hamilton, but again, you're not supposed to like them. They're supposed to be characters that you struggle to identify with, because they struggle to identify with each other, despite these weird idiosyncrasies.
Why is it my favorite Parker Posey roles are ones where she just gets to make up what she's doing? Like, it's like anything written for Parker Posey, it kind of falls flat. She's a fine actress, but it just feels like when she's confined by the script, it's like nobody can write for Parker better than she can just make up for herself. So,
are you telling me that her performance in Blade 3 was flatter than this?
Yeah, Blade 3 and Scream 4 or 3 or whatever one it was. It's like, yeah, they just you see Parker Posey. She was okay at Dazed and Confused, but it's like you see her in virtually anything where it's like, let's write the script first and then we'll cast. I'm like, oh no, that's a mistake with Parker.
That's not how
Put
things
her in
go.
your movie.
Yeah.
Put her in your movie and just tell her to go.
Just wind her up and let her go. Yeah.
Right, she will go. Oh, I love her role in this movie. I love her role in like all Christopher Guest movies.
Yeah. She's, again, like most of the actors in this movie, Christopher Guest is kind of has this like stable of actors, and performers might even be a better way to go with it, that he goes to and appear in many of his films. I love how they're talking about like, as it Hamilton is talking with Meg about how this is in front of Beatrice, how it's okay that we make love, it's a beautiful thing, and then Meg kind of mumbles like sometimes. What was that? Oh, nothing. And that really sums up their relationship. They hate each other, they hate themselves, but they just kind of funnel through their dog performance, and they take it out of the dog, and it's clear that the dog is responding in kind. As they kind of journey towards Philadelphia, because again, all of the different characters, they start in their locales across the country, and they're on their way to the dog show in Philadelphia, and they're in the airport, and they're bickering back and forth, and Beatrice barks loudly at a man who goes to pet her, and of course Hamilton just starts threatening him with lawsuits.
Oh yeah, immediately.
Yeah,
I'll sue you so fast, make your head spin.
And of course, they calm down Beatrice with her busy bee, but it has no effect, and they continue to be distraught, because distraught is all they know. So that's the introduction to Meg and Hamilton Swan, owners of Beatrice the Weimaraner. Let's go to Jerry and Cookie Fleck next. Jerry and Cookie, played by Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara, two of my favorite improv performers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Just two of the funniest people, I think, in Hollywood as well. We open with them at a very small dog show down in Florida, and they have their Norwich Terrier, Winky, cute little dog, very happy little dog. You see right away that Eugene Levy is clearly wearing prosthetic teeth.
Oh yeah. Why?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Why not? But it makes him look even kind of nerdier than he sort of already looks in general.
Yes.
We get to know pretty quickly that despite the fact that Jerry and Cookie work together, they both have led very different lives and have very different personalities and maybe hobbies that they have engaged in over the years. See, Jerry is a very kind of neat and proper, very kind man. I think very patient man, but very sort of, and you're going to use this word, non-politically, kind of conservative in how he approaches the world, as opposed to Cookie, who has many dozens of friends, hundreds of friends, boyfriends,
all of them
boyfriends specifically.
Yeah.
Wears a lot of low-cut shirts, a lot of tight shirts.
Cracks me up later when she puts her name tag on her skin, under her shirt.
Yeah, directly on her boob instead of on her shirt.
But she does love Jerry.
She does. She loves Jerry. She's with him because she knows that he's responsible and he's probably what she needs. Despite the fact that I don't think you ever hear her say that, I think that's sort of the implied message, that they are what each other needs. You know, she provides him with some spark and some life, and he provides her with some stability and constancy. Jerry also has a birth defect, I guess might be the best way to put it.
Yeah.
See,
not much of a dancer.
Yeah. See, Cookie is the one who shows Winky, not Jerry, because Jerry literally has 2 left feet.
Yeah. He's born with them.
Yeah, born with 2 left feet.
But now after some therapy, he's a better dancer than Winky. Yeah. The dog.
When he was a kid, they used to call him Loopy because he used to walk in little loops. And as they journey towards Philadelphia, towards the dog show, they make a stop at a friend's in Akron's. It turns out this is a very out of the way stop.
Like 140 miles round trip or something
for them
like
to
that.
make. And so They stop at Akron at the home of Max and Faye. Max is an old pal of Cookie's. They go back. They go back a ways. When they arrive, and Max just dips her and gives her a big old kiss right in front of both Jerry as well as his wife Faye.
Faye doesn't seem too taken aback by it.
No,
Jerry, of course, doesn't like it, but he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, he's just a prisoner in the moment there. So later at dinner, let's see, Jerry and Faye are kind of talking, and Max is kind of giving her like the eyes, like and kind of like mouthing things at her. So they're clearly flirting with each other. Turns out Max is a hostage negotiator, Oz. So that's what he does for a living.
Yeah, he's really, really bad at it.
Yeah, I think that's the implication there.
Right. He thinks he's really good at it.
Oh yeah, of course he does. He's the only hostage negotiator in the area.
Because there's an industry secret.
They always jump. He also spins a yarn about a guy who's jumped off a building, got his head stuck in a stone gargoyle.
Right. As they're all trying to eat.
Yeah, as they're eating dinner.
Faye is just disgusted by this story as he's telling it, as she's trying to eat.
Max indicates to all of them that Cookie is famous for putting her legs behind her head.
Yeah, they're eating like school cafeteria hot plate food. She's like, I never touched because I didn't want to look like a loser. And Faye's like, I ate it every day.
At this point, Jerry's had enough eyes. He's had enough of Max making eyes at his wife, and he just leans over to Faye and says, "Well, I forgot to compliment you on your luscious melon breasts."
She's flattered by.
Yeah, she's not offended. She's flattered. She just, oh my, thank you.
Thank you. Like, someone's paying attention
I know.
to me.
Yeah, apparently it's apparent that Max does it. In the meantime, Winky has wandered off Oz. And so they can't find Winky.
Yeah.
Winky ends up outside with their teenage son. Maybe troubled teenage son might be a way to put it.
Yeah.
And he's sitting with Winky up on the roof of the shed. And of course, Jerry and Cookie are concerned because it's Winky up there. And Max walks out and says, well, hang on, honey. This is what I do. then proceeds to completely berate his child.
Who's going? His plan is to drop Winky off the top of the shed with only like an action figure parachute strapped
like
to
a
the
little
dog.
green army man parachute.
Yeah, it's good. This dog is gonna drop like a dead weight, but good thing Dad's there.
Yeah, good thing Max the hostage negotiator. I'll gouge your eye out with my thumb, you little freak.
I'll stab you in the ribs with a fork.
So that's Cookie and Jerry. And oh, by the way, I almost forgot. Cookie and Jerry also like to sing songs about their terrier.
Oh, yes, they do. Because God loves a terrier.
God loves
with his
terrier.
With his cute little terrier.
So that's Jerry and Cookie. Probably my favorite of all the couples and characters in the movie. We then meet Harlan Pepper, played by the aforementioned Christopher Guest, Mr. Jamie Lee Curtis himself.
Yep. Oh, you literally took the words out of my mouth. Mr. Jamie Lee Curtis is what I was going to say. Yep. You thief.
I'm sure that's how he...
That's what I get. That's what I get for stealing all your 3-2-1s all this time.
That every once in a while I beat you to a line or a reference.
Yeah, you got me.
So Harlan runs a fishing shop. I don't know if they ever indicate exactly where. Somewhere in the South. My guess is maybe Tennessee or so. It's kind of a woodsy area.
Yeah.
And his dog is a bloodhound named Hubert. Probably my favorite dog in the movie.
Yeah, he's a beautiful dog.
Yeah, he is. So,
and he can talk.
That's Harlan's things. He likes to talk for Hubert. So he makes conversation with himself. He's the only competitor who does not have a partner in the movie, so it's just him, to which he seems fine with. But he passes the time by talking for Hubert. And so he'll engage in conversations with himself, basically, talking for Hubert. Kind of like... was it Sven and was it Olaf?
Christoph.
Christoph.
Kristoff, and from Frozen. I was thinking the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, going to make that reference, and you stole it from me.
I got the rest of this episode, Oz. Just sit back. Right. Just sit back and look pretty.
You guys, I'll see you next week.
So you don't really get a whole lot about Harlan and Hubert. I don't think you really need a whole lot about them.
No.
There's a couple great moments. There is the aforementioned nut scene that we're kind of throwing back and forth at each other. So again, it's just him talking. So like he doesn't have anybody to bounce things off of, which again just speaks to how great Christopher Guest is in this form, in this kind of medium. And he just starts naming nuts, just different kind of nuts. That's what he does to pass the time.
That's what he would do when he was younger. He'd lay in bed and just name nuts.
Would drive his mom crazy.
When he'd say red pistachio nut, that'd send her over.
Will you stop naming nuts? We also get a little moment there of Harlan practicing his puppet mime act, his ventriloquism act. You get a little taste of that, beforehand. So he likes to talk for the animals, and he has a possible other side hustle going on here. Before he leaves for Philadelphia, he says goodbye to the two other guys who work at the fishing shop with him. Right. One of which played by Will Sasso. And he throws a quote out that Oz and I have worked into our regular repartee of quotes.
Oh, yeah.
I'll let you take this one, buddy.
As he's driving off in his Winnebago with Hubert, if you get tired, pull over. If you get hungry, eat something. Very obvious things, but it's good life advice.
It is.
If you get tired, pull over, and if you get hungry, just eat something.
Yeah. Truer words have never been spoken.
Nope. Thank you, Will Sasso.
You have anything else about Harlan and Hubert, Oz?
Oh, that they just. I mean, you could tell that he's nervous. It's his first show. Hubert's only a couple of years old. He loves his dog.
Yeah.
Like. They go out in the woods. He just really loves his dog, and so he's hoping that can translate into judge's appreciation for the dog. Yeah. But no, he is. He's a very heartwarming character.
Yes. We then meet Stefan Vanderhoff and Scott Donlin. And their dog, a Maltese named Miss Agnes. Cute little dog.
Yeah. Very cute.
Yeah. So one of the two dogs that we have is part Maltese and doesn't have the hair like this one does, though.
No, this one's got beautiful long flowing hair.
Very flowing. We meet them as they're at like kind of a butcher deli shop in the city. I think it's established very very early that they are a couple together, that they are both homosexual. Scott flirts with the male butcher, asks to hold his pepperoni log.
Right. Of the two, Scott is definitely far more obvious and flamboyant of the two. And he's totally open to that. He's very aware of it and embraces it. And and is it Scott Vanderhoof? No, it's Scott Donlin. Stefan. And Stefan is I mean, he's fine with it too. He's aware. They're very comfortable in their relationship, and with that he just knows that Scott's going to flirt with every human male there is. So, but whatever.
Yeah, but they get it, and they love each other.
For sure.
In some ways, it kind of mirrors the Jerry Cookie relationship in a way, with the exception being that as Cookie flirts with other guys, Jerry becomes more insecure. Mm-hmm. Whereas in this, Stefan's just like, "Yep, that's Scott," but I know he's coming back with me. So.
Exactly, he's going home with me, so whatever.
I love the portrayal of this couple. They love each other and they communicate with each other, and they get who each other are, and it's
and I love that like Scott's level of flirting is almost like purposely to make the other person uncomfortable.
Yeah,
like he doesn't care if this person may or may not be homosexual. He's just your man, and I'm gonna lay it on thick just to make you uncomfortably awkward.
I'm just gonna have
we're gonna leave.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have a little bit of fun right now.
Yeah, and then we're gonna leave with our fish and liver, and, and you'll be left uncomfortable.
Yeah, Stefan indicates that he was a hairdresser and was married to a woman before he met Scott. They describe themselves as the all-American love story, which I honestly think it really captures that. I think they are probably the happiest couple.
Oh yeah,
very
secure,
and the most maybe consistent of the couples.
Yeah,
in this movie, and it shows, and it's great. The other little note I have: Scott packed 7 kimonos there for the 48-hour trip.
Yeah, well, he needs one more.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're taking like tapestries, and it's like their energy together is. I mean, they are 2 peas in a pod for sure.
Yeah.
And it's fun to watch just as they are two halves of a whole, and they love old movies and Japanese tapestry, and they don't care what anybody else thinks.
No, but they love each other. They're kind to each other, and they have fun with it. The last couple, the last showers that we meet are Sherry Ann and Leslie Ward Cabot, as well as their hired handler, Christy Cummings, played by Jane Lynch. So Sherry Ann and Leslie Ward, Oz, there's a couple of differences. I would say one difference in particular between this married couple.
It's a pretty big difference.
Yes, Leslie Ward is clearly older than Sherry.
Yes.
I would guess probably at least 80s.
Oh, at least.
At least 80s.
Puckered face, probably early onset dementia, or maybe even halfway there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like the man he's just an old pruny man in a wheelchair that just blinks. Like he never says a word the entire.
No. And Sherry Ann, I'm guessing, is probably supposed to be maybe like early to mid 30s or so, and it is clearly there to be the arm candy.
Oh yeah, although, this is like this was like the real life like Anna Nicole Smith.
Yes.
Like I love him. I'm like, he's 50 years older than you are. Like, what does he offer you? Oh, he offers me money is what he offers.
Although she says otherwise. She says that their relationship is still very physical, and that he pushes her buttons.
as they cut to him like staring off, blinking.
I pulled another quote, and I've kind of cutting some quotes together here. We both love soup, the outdoors.
Oh, I love that line.
Snow peas, talking and not talking.
We could talk or not talk forever.
Yeah.
We could not talk or talk forever.
And still find things to not talk about.
Oh, Jennifer Coolidge.
Oh my God, she's so great at this. So again, and then I think that's really the last we see of Leslie Ward. And then it's Sherry Ann and the handler, Christy Cummings, again played by Jane Lynch, working with Rhapsody in White, also known as Butch. Sherry Ann is very, very feminine. Wears a lot of bright kind of pastel-y colors. Like fur lighting, poof balls, that kind of thing.
She'd wear a tiara every day if she could pull it off.
Yes. And then there's Christy. Christy wears a lot of pantsuits. Kind of describes herself as being the taskmaster, while Sherry Ann is there for unconditional love. So again, it's the implication early on is that Christy is lesbian, and Christy is lesbian, and we will get back to how that dynamic unfolds as the dog show progresses. We meet a couple other side characters. The hotel manager, played by Ed Begley Jr. There's a great little scene of him talking about different cleaning products.
Right, it's so boring, and he really gets into it when he's talking about a rock band coming. We saw him coming, so we put down the rubber sheets.
Yeah, still couldn't believe they roasted a goat in the room.
Right.
Now, whether or not that rock band was Spinal Tap.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking that too. I'm like, it's probably Spinal Tap.
It's up for debate. Apparently, they weren't aware there was a toilet in the room. Then we get a little sequence here with the characters as we kind of transition from Act 1 to Act 2. Act 2, I would say, is very brief, and that's basically they've arrived or are in some cases preparing to arrive to the dog show itself in Philadelphia. We get a great little moment of Stefan and Scott arriving at the hotel. Scott is dressed in fur and trendy sunglasses. And
yeah.
Whereas Stefan is just very casual and yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm skipping over some of the inconsequential stuff here. Cookie and Jerry have some trouble once they get to the hotel, Oz.
Yeah.
Poor Cookie and Jerry.
It's their good card, though.
Run it again. Run it again. Sometimes you just got to rub the magnetic strip.
Right. Yeah. And so you get two bills. Like you get two. Long story short, they haven't been paying they can't afford to pay their credit card bill.
Yeah.
Yet they continue using their credit card.
Yeah.
And so you get two statements before they cut it off. And Cookie doesn't realize that the second statement has come.
Yes.
So they can't afford the hotel room that they've booked.
So Ed Begley Jr., the Mark Schaefer character, cuts him a break, and he lets him stay in the utility room.
Yeah. We'll get someone in to clean this stuff up.
We'll bring a couple cots in.
Amongst the chemicals, right? You guys are right next to the kitchen, so just grab somebody for room service and let them know.
This scene always reminds me. There's a scene in an early Simpsons episode where Homer and Marge are trying to kind of reignite their love life, and so they're going around to different places, and they end up at a hotel that's booked up. They're different themed rooms, and they end up in the utility room. On a couple of cots, and as they get in there and they're trying to make themselves comfortable, a hotel worker comes in and says, "Don't mind me, folks, just need the old wet dry vac."
So they think they're in a theme room.
Yeah,
but they're really
in an actual utility room. And what this guy needs the wet dry vac for in a hotel like this, you can only you can use your imagination for.
Exactly. Ugh.
And it's the old wet dry vac, which indicates that it's used.
The old.
It's used often.
Right. It's their number one cleaning product.
And they go to that wet dry vac often. Then we're at the pre-party, Oz. And Cookie runs into another old flame.
Yeah.
Much to Jerry's chagrin.
Yeah, he hates himself so much when this happens.
Yeah. Jerry just can't escape the moment fast enough. This other flame indicates that that Cookie also has a skill of putting her legs up. She must be very flexible, is the implication there.
Is this the one that he's been with a lot of waitresses?
Yes.
But she's by far the best.
Yeah.
And when she then leans into it, she's like, "You're darn right."
Yeah. She's proud of it.
What? Like, you're right, I am.
And Jerry just can't get out of there fast enough.
No, not enough. No.
Harlan's talking with Meg and Hamilton about fishing lures.
Which I love this dynamic because these three could not be any further a part of, in terms of life experiences and interests or whatever. Yet they're the ones chatting it up.
Yeah.
Well, it's a one-sided call. As in Hamilton is that J. Crew?
Yeah.
he was to check the label on his jacket.
Checking his jacket.
Even Meg's like, Hamilton, he's like, "What I gotta know."
Yeah.
There's only certain things I know how to talk about, and I just need to know if this is catalog or not.
Like Harlan would care what he's wearing.
Right, like he would have any idea.
And then as we start the show, the 125th annual Mayflower Dog Show, we meet the the television, the two commentators. Was it Trevor? I forget Trevor's last name.
Yeah, Beckman.
There we go. Thank you, Trevor Beckman, who is played by God, I'm forgetting. British guy. I'm blanking right now. Oh,
it's all right.
Jim something.
You keep talking. It's probably Jim Parsons.
It probably is Jim Parsons.
No, I got it.
You got it. Okay.
You keep going. Yep.
Yeah, we got Trevor, who is the knowledgeable one. He's British, which makes him sound even smarter.
Right.
Is it Jim Cummings? Is that his name? But he's the lead, so he's sort of like the play-by-play guy.
Right.
And then you have Buck Laughlin, played by the one and only Fred Willard.
Oh my gosh!
As Christopher Guest was letting them know how to prepare for their characters, he told the guy who played Trevor Beckwith, to do some research because he has to be knowledgeable on different dog breeds and how shows are run and how they're judged and how the competitions work. And
Jim Pittick.
Pittick, thank you, Jim Pittick. And so Jim Pittick did his research. he intentionally told Fred Willard, I don't want you to do any research. I just want you to show up. So he...
Which, yes. I could... Oh, and it shows.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so great. He's so great.
Apparently, he modeled his character after a guy who actually does the Westminster Dog Shows. It kind of shows up and doesn't know as much as you would think someone would. But some are big, some are small, some are really small. Some have coats that look like they were spun by a spider.
Oh man, it had to be nearly impossible to sit next to him as he's just going.
Yeah, and again, if anyone, for those listeners who know Fred Willard's work, he just goes. He just goes. Like if you've seen Waiting for Guffman, like he just takes over scenes, and the other performers just kind of get out of his way, and they're fine with it because they know how great it can be.
He's going to elevate every scene he's in. I mean, he did the same thing in This Is Spinal Tap. I mean, just they show up at that at that Air Force base and just step aside and let him go because he's going to take you places and really, but pretty much everything he does is solo as well. Like I think he does a great job of taking everyone somewhere, but not like putting you on the spot to keep up.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think a lot could fall apart. You've got far more improv background than I do, which is 0 for me. But just I think that could be really damaging if you just throw this curveball to a fellow cast member and they can't keep up. But Fred Willard, he's good. You're in good hands if he's on your set.
Trevor is talking about he has his own obedience schools, Oz, and he's written a book, and Buck says, I went to one of those obedience places once. It all goes well until they spill hot candle wax on my private parts. Backstage, Meg and Hamilton are preparing with Beatrice. Meg says that Beatrice is freaking out.
as she is freaking out.
Yeah. Hamilton crawls into the crate looking for the busy bee. He screams at Meg, "It's not here! Run to the hotel! Run! Go get it!"
He's like spitting on her.
Basically. She's
like, "Don't spit on me!"
So Meg gets to the hotel. She threatens a Latina maid with INS. Just these people they're so entitled. Right, it's like when Hamilton threatened the guy at the airport with a lawsuit.
Right.
And so she has to go to a pet store to buy something else. So there's a fun little exchange as she's trying to find an approximation of the busy bee.
And everything offered to her that is closest to the busy bee is nowhere near what she actually took.
That's a fish.
That's a bear in a bee costume.
And then the event begins as we're officially underway. I have this broken up into the different groups that our different competitors are in. So we start with the Hound Group. And it's mostly, the voiceover with Trevor and Buck.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just going to kind of go through some of the lines here that just tickle my funny bone. Ouch, did I see where she put her hands? I hate to go on a date with her. And again, he knows nothing about what's going on, and you can tell that he's sort of this like kind of bro-y. He probably does a lot of more traditional, what we think of as traditional American sports commentating. Like baseball, football, basketball. But here he is because the network needed a color commentator, someone to connect with the audience.
Well, and it's great though because if you've seen Dodgeball, you get the vibe that Jason Bateman patterned his like commentary character after Fred Willard. In this movie, because again, just the same, completely clueless, but my mouth doesn't stop talking. Just stream of consciousness coming right out of the old cake hole.
I have a feeling that the Jason Bateman character in Dodgeball is probably like the 30-year-old version of probably this 60-year-old version of right. Buck Laughlin.
He's doing commentary on the Ocho. ESPN 8.
So Trevor is impressed by Hubert, but thinks he's still a few years away, and Buck says he's just trying to get some playing time in. Hey, why don't they put a Sherlock Holmes hat and pipe on? I think that'd really get the crowd going. He then makes some football analogies, like that looks like a fast dog. Who do you think would win in a race? Would he be the
if he was a wide receiver, which one would be the wide receiver? Which one would be the tight end?
And Trevor just doesn't know what to make of it, and, which just makes it even funnier. Trevor trying to respond to Buck. And it turns out Oz Hubert wins the Hound Group.
Yes, he does.
So he's
good old Hubert.
He's on to the finals.
Which shouldn't be really of a surprise to anybody. Pretty much all of the couples that we've been focused on up to this point are going to, they wouldn't be the focus of a movie like this if they all get dropped out in the group rounds.
We have the toy group next, which is Scott and Stefan. So Scott shows while Stefan is up in the stands with his tiny, sort of. Like opera binoculars.
Yeah. The ones that flip backwards.
Yeah, on the little pole.
Yeah.
So Scott comes out with Agnes. He's wearing a very sharp burgundy jacket, very well dressed. Has his kind of hand out to his side with his palm up as he's showing.
Yes.
And turns out, Agnes wins the round. She wins the toy group. So congratulations to Scott and Agnes. The terrier group is next, Oz. Trevor indicates that a lot of winners have come from this group in the past. So a little foreshadowing there.
Foreshadowing.
Spoiler alert. The alternate name to our show, spoiler alert, with Oz and Curtis.
Right. Spoiler alert.
Buck says, to think that in some countries dogs are eaten. And then he goes on to question, how do they make miniature dogs? Like, you'd think you would have breed them big.
Do they shrink them down? Like there's some kind of gun they use to...
And he's not just making it up. This is Buck. He doesn't get it.
He has no idea.
Yeah.
To which, he's told that they breed him that way.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Buck also recognizes Cookie. He recognizes, hey, the handler, that Norwich Terrier looks familiar.
It's just this through gag through the whole movie.
And turns out Winky wins, Oz.
Yay,
so
Winky.
Cookie shows and Winky wins. So Winky's on to the finals. Let's see, next we have... we got the sporting group, which would be the...
Is this the Swans?
Yeah, Buck describes as the jocks. This is the Swans. So they bring out Beatrice, and Beatrice clearly has not recovered from the trauma and is still feeling distraught.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Beatrice was just not ready for a dog show. I mean, Meg and Hamilton keep blaming it on the distraughtness. And I'm like, I just think you're overestimating your dog. Yeah. I don't think your dog is ready for this. And yet you believe she is.
Yeah. Well, they want to believe that she is. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Right.
And so Beatrice, she starts barking at the judge, and she jumps up on the judge. She puts her front paws, and Beatrice is a larger dog, and she gets dismissed as.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they are
despite Hamilton's begging.
Yeah. And Buck makes some more great comments here. He went after her like she was made out of ham.
I swear you're reading my movie notes, man.
I'll let you take all the quotes from here.
No, it's fine. It's fine. That's actually the last one I had down. So.
Prior to the non-sporting group going out, we got another little backstage moment between Christy and Sherry Ann. Sherry Ann went to put some makeup on Christy.
Yeah, she did her hair and makeup that day.
It didn't work at all. And then she also Christy tried to intimidate Harlan and Hubert also, which
which didn't work at all.
Not gonna work on old Harlan.
Because he doesn't know who you are.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know who I am. Well, I do and I don't.
And then we get the non-sporting group, which is Rhapsody and White's group, Oz. So Sherry Ann is backstage. She orders a bucket of popcorn, half butter, half salt.
This is usually I stay backstage and just stuff myself.
You get the idea that when she's nervous, that she just eats.
Yeah.
Stefan and Scott are watching from the hotel room, and they make some comments about Christy. And Rhapsody and White wins. Christy is really pumped, Oz.
Very excited.
You get the sense that Christy is a very competitive person.
I was gonna say, along those same lines. Yeah, she it's win or nothing for her.
Yeah. And the camera, again, we're watching through Scott and Stefan's TV and kind of through their eyes, and the camera kind of lingers as Christy goes over to Sherry Ann, and Oz, what happens there?
They embrace, and then that embrace turns into a much deeper embrace as they basically just start making out right there in the tunnel to the dog show.
Scott notes that Rhapsody has 2 mommies.
Rhapsody has 2 mommies.
Yep. And then as we're on to the final round, Best in Show. So here we go. So of the 5 we've been following, the only one that did not make it was Beatrice. So it's the other 4 with a couple others from the other groups.
Yep.
Backstage, though, prior to the round beginning, Jerry and Cookie are talking with Winky, and Cookie takes a tumble, Oz.
She falls and blows out her knee.
She blows out her knee. Apparently...
It was kind of a touching scene, though, because, Scott and Sherry both, they came... I mean, we're all headed into the finals of this dog show, but yet I like just the brief moment of camaraderie that they really were concerned about Cookie's well-being.
Yeah, it didn't
she looked like a blown-out tire.
Yeah. Apparently,
she walked like a broken shopping cart.
That's a good analogy for that. Apparently, Catherine O'Hara, she could just do that with her leg. And Christopher Guest somehow knew she did it, and I want you to do the thing with your knee.
Oh man!
And so Jerry, 2 left foot Jerry has to step in, so to speak, and show Winky. So as Buck says, it's the bottom of the ninth and a pinch hitter comes out.
I love when the judge calls up Winky and takes a look at him, and then wants Jerry to take a loop around, not a loop. I shouldn't use that word with Jerry, but to take a stroll around, and instead of turning left, he spins in a circle to the right because it's the only direction he can go, and then he continues his walk. Yeah, real tight circle. He has to go right. He can't turn left.
So they all come out. They all show. Buck makes a couple more great lines. I just out of nowhere. How much weight do you think I can bench press?
Right. I know this is a little off topic, but what do you think I can bench?
Yes, Trevor.
315.
Yes, Trevor. If money's ever exchanged to influence the judges, if dogs from different countries can understand each other,
right? They bark in different languages.
And Oz, it's time for the winner, and it's Winky.
It is
Winky wins, and you get the.
Oh
you get
my god!
Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
I was just say the look on Sherry's face is just total, or Christy's face, just total disgust.
Yeah.
She looks like she's about to throw up in her mouth because she lost, not because Winky won, but because she lost.
Yeah.
2-time champion, and she lost. There's
a great wide shot of Winky and Jerry celebrating, and Cookie comes hobbling up with her knee just kind of flopping around everywhere. And they win and they celebrate, and then we get a little epilogue, like in most Christopher Guest movies. We get the little several months later. So
where are they now?
Yes. So Cookie and Jerry, they got the key to the city, picture in the newspaper, 3 radio interviews, and it shows them recording a full album of songs about terriers. And as they're going through this, the sound guy, the recording guy, recognizes Cookie.
Jerry's just beating his head against the microphone.
That's the only time I've been on a roller coaster.
I'm not wearing underwear.
Sherry Ann and Christy have started a magazine whose title we cannot say because on our PG podcast here, but it focuses on the issues of the lesbian dog owner. So
they're on their 3rd issue.
Yeah, so good for them. Harlan has fully started his puppet ventriloquism act as he performs at a sparsely crowded VFW.
It's like a VFW. He looks like a real life Howdy Doody.
He does.
He's dressed like a cowboy, and he can't lasso, and he knocks over the cactus stage decorations.
Stefan and Scott are doing a Shih Tzu calendar of movies from the 30s and 40s. And Meg and Hamilton, we end where we began, Oz. We're back with the same therapist. And it turns out Meg and Hamilton, they got rid of Beatrice because she was negative and hurtful.
Yeah, it's just bad energy out of that dog.
Their sex life is better. because Beatrice is gone. And they have a new dog, Kipper. He's a winner, and he likes to actually watch them. And
It's so gross.
Then we pan down, and Kipper is going to town on him. Getting to know the therapist's leg. Right. And that's it.
We're gonna have puppies.
Yeah. And that's it, folks. That's 2000's Christopher Guest directed.
Oh, it's been that long already.
Show. I remember seeing this movie in the theater at the Meadowview Theater in Kankakee, Illinois.
Oh, man. 22 years old already.
Yes. Hard to believe.
Good for them. Yes.
So at this point in the show, folks, Oz and I give our own unique rating to the film in question. In this case, Best in Show. Oz, how would you rate this movie?
I'm going to give this movie number 1. It's the winner.
It's the winner. One. Yep.
It's the winner.
It is.
Best in Show. Mm-hmm. Best in Show is Best in Show.
There you go. Love it.
What about you?
I'm going to go with 88 Busy Bees.
There you go. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Beatrice would have been upset with 88 Busy Bees.
You find your busy bee. Your busy bee.
He's so aggressive.
Yeah. Next up in our forecast of funnies here, we have Outside Insight, where Oz and I each share an unprofessional review we found from somewhere in the interwebs, in this case, Best in Show. Oz, what is your Outside Insight?
Oh, well, as much as I love this movie, Blumensatt on Letterboxd is not a fan, giving the movie half star. His or her review. This is an impressively lame movie about lame people directed in the most lame fashion in all of movie history. I could barely imagine how lame you have to be as a person to enjoy this film. 1 out of 10 does not describe nearly enough how lame this movie is. Truly offensively lame.
Offensively lame. Oh, wow.
This person was offended by this movie. How lame it was. So, Blumensatt, thank you, but I wholeheartedly disagree.
How many lames were there? Like 6 or 7?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 lames. Yep. 4 sentences long, 6 lames. So, thank you, Blumensatt.
That's a lot of lames.
Yep.
My review comes from IMDb. This is from Beetle28. Beetle-28. This movie made me mad.
Oh no!
I
think Blumensatt and Beetle28 are the swans of the review world.
They're the old men in the Muppet Theater.
Yeah.
You people are sick. No, I am not joking.
Oh, I'm ill.
You are all sick in the head. The idea that this movie has a rating over 2 makes me even more angry.
Oh, my.
For all of you that haven't seen this, here's a quick little rundown. You know those terrible people who annoy you every time they talk? Imagine spending a full hour and a half listening to them. Even the cute value of the dogs didn't come close to saving this horrid movie. Even the $2.75 I paid for it was a ripoff. One of the worst films I've ever seen. Only movies worse than this are Supernova and, of course, the most terrible of them all, Omega Code. What did Supernova and Omega Code do to get drug into this?
This guy is so angry at those movies, he drags them into reviews of other movies he hates. It's bad, but it's not as bad as Omega Code.
Omega Code, boy, this was top 3, or bottom 3 if you put it that way.
Bottom
I'm so
3.
mad. I'm not joking.
Oh, you sickos! Oh my mental health is directly related to the IMDb rating of movies that I didn't like.
So Beetle28, I hope you're getting the help that you need.
Yes, I hope so too. See a therapist.
Yes.
Even if you have a dog, you could take your dog to the therapist that Meg and Hamilton were.
Just don't let it get too close to the therapist's leg.
No. Oh.
And,
that was a good one.
Yes, it was. And folks, it's time for our signature segment, the 3-2-1. In which Oz and I each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about the movie in discussion. In this case, Best in Show. Oz, what are your 3 goods, my friend?
My first one, I love just the throwaway lines that don't move anything along. Early on, when the Flecks are down in Florida and they're doing their little dog show, and or Jerry's sitting next to an old man. He's like, boy, sure is a beautiful day. And then the woman next to him goes, yeah, when I woke up, I was so glad. And it's just lines like that, the back, the we could not talk or talk forever. Where Jerry's so excited because they're going to go to Philadelphia for this show, and they're having a little going away party. And what are you going to do? You go to see the Liberty Bell? Or we're going to go to the place where they make the cream cheese. And like everybody around him is so excited. And I want to know where they make the light cream cheese. It's like the lines that Michael Showalter in Wet Hot American Summer, where Michael Showalter, but he's not playing Coop, but he's playing the guy that's introducing
that terrible stand-up comedian.
Yeah. Yes, but it's like those lines, but in this movie, they're like genuinely out of the mouth of people, not trying to be a stand-up comedian. And my last one is like, he went after her like she's made out of ham. Just those lines that there's so many of them in this, and they're all just, more than likely, they're all ad-libbed, and they're all just improv, and they're just so funny. That's my first.
I think I'd read that
it's just
there was no script for the movie. There was a plot outline that was 16 pages long. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for these guys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they literally carried the movie, made it up as they went along.
Yeah.
That's so wonderful. The creativity and talent of some people just amazes me. My second good are the side characters. Of course, we've got a pretty large focal group of cast members. But you're Larry Miller, you're Ed Begley Jr., you're Fred Willard. Just these side characters are so great. And they all have their own contributions. Some of them are supposed to be funny. Some of them play them a little bit, straighter. But they're still, like, they still really anchor the film. So it's not like everybody in the movie is some sort of, funny entry into this film. But all the side characters are great. And I really like the scenes where there were two characters. Usually they were interview style. Two characters on screen. And you could tell that they're just improving off one another. And just watching those scenes just build their foundation and scaffold higher and higher and higher. It was just so fun, especially knowing again, how much improv was in this movie and watching two performers with the camera on them just go. And so those are my three goods. Everything about this movie I love. How about you?
My three goods, I'll start with the hostage negotiation scene near the beginning with Larry Miller. Again, we kind of talked about it before, but just a quick recap. The troubled teenage son takes Winky and is sitting on the top of the shed outside, about to throw him off with a toy parachute on. And Larry Miller's character Max, who clearly is a hostage negotiator who thinks he's much better than what he is. And don't worry, honey, this is what I do. And he just berates his child.
Oh my! It's like every jumper is his fault, pretty much. Yeah.
Secret of the industry: they always jump. Good thing there weren't any gargoyles around there.
Yeah, no kidding.
So that little scene, I had forgot about that scene when I was rewatching this the other day, and like,
okay,
it just stuck out. My second good, I'll just go with the editing. The editing in general, that's really what makes these mockumentary movies work. As you have to know where the punchline is and know where to cut and how to, keep some semblance of a story and a plot together. And the editing, I thought, was just absolutely top notch in this. Like, again, you have to have a great sense of timing to do that, and I thought that it did a great job of balancing the jokes with the story and the characters. And then my last one is, let's go with, I had trusting the performers down, but that's kind of ties in with one of yours. Let's go with Cookie's exes and Jerry's insecurities.
I like it.
Yeah, just how they keep running into people that she knows from her past, and Jerry's reactions to this. He's just, you could tell that they love each other, and that she's with him for the long haul, but he just can't escape her past.
Right, which is an odd phrase.
Yeah.
Like, he can't escape her past.
Yeah. and you could tell he's a good guy, and he's trying to be patient, but it happens so frequently, and you could tell that these are not the only instances in which this has happened, because it.
Well, you get the vibe too that their personal life probably does not have the excitement that her past does.
Yeah.
So all of these wild rompous rendezvous she's had with all these people across the country, and then their relationship, her wild oats are in her past. Mm-hmm. And so Jerry he doesn't get to experience any of that level of fun with Cookie because she's experienced it with everyone else. Yeah. So there's probably that extra level of, I'm who she's settled on.
Yeah. And all these other guys are, I think probably, because again, he has these false teeth in as well, so they're better looking than he is, and and better, more fit than he is. and there he is. He's just two left foot Jerry.
Right. His pride and joy is his dog.
Yeah. Winky. So those are my three goods. Oz, what are your two bads?
My first bad is, and it's nitpicky, while all the characters I felt were just perfect in this movie, the sheer amount of them did not allow a lot of time for really any of them. That I would have loved to see any of these couples, or even Harlan, just, more of them. Mm-hmm. And that's no fault of the filmmakers or even the performers. It's just, there's so many great characters that you fall in love with all of them, and you want to see more of all of them, and there's just not time for more of all of them. So that's my first bad, is, it's like, this meal's so good, I wish I had more. Yeah. But I took my last bite, so I'm out. And my second one is that the movie is so great, I can't think of a second bad. So that's my second bad, is that I couldn't find
one. You don't have a second bad.
Which made doing this part a little more difficult. So there you go. What are your two?
Again, being super nitpicky, I had plot as one, but that kind of relates to what you said before. Also, I'll kind of build off that, and more specifically, more Don Lake, Bob Balaban, and Ed Begley Jr.
Yeah, those guys are great.
Yeah, and they're in, most of them are in other Christopher Guest works as well. But again, there just wasn't time for them, and their characters were much more inconsequential to the narrative. Don Lake, I think we saw once or twice. Bob Balaban, we saw once or twice. Ed Begley Jr., we saw a couple of times. And their characters didn't really have a lot of room to breathe and grow, which again, they didn't. Right. It's because they were inconsequential. The main characters were the dog handlers and their partners. But I love them as performers, and I just want to see more whenever I can.
Yeah, they're great. One of my favorite, and I think it's completely underrated and overlooked a lot, is have you ever seen Transylvania 6-5000?
No.
Oh, it's Ed Begley Jr., Jeff Goldblum, Michael Richards, Gina Davis, and it's like Goldblum and Begley Jr. are they're like newspaper reporters, and they go to like Transylvania, where there's supposedly a wolfman and a Frankenstein and a vampire, and so they're going to investigate all of this. Well, then of course they get to the root of what it is. There's a mad doctor, and it was one of those growing up. It was on HBO a lot, and so I watched it a lot, and it's just it's so much fun. It's just goofy and high energy. Probably doesn't have a very big IMDb rating, just because it's just a dumb movie. But it really is. You see a lot of Ed Begley Jr. shine.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum gets to be Jeff Goldblum. Michael Richards is slapstick funny. Gina Davis is as hot as you ever seen Gina Davis in a movie. She's pretty smoking in that one. But it's just a fun movie, top to bottom, and it's got a lot of heart, and it's got a lot of fun. And so we may have to figure out a way to get that on the podcast, because it's a very fun ride.
Well,
and knowing you haven't seen it, I definitely want to get it in front of you one way.
Well, as you indicated at the top of the episode, we normally find a movie we like and then create the month around it.
Yeah, this I've already got one in mind. This will be movies with numbers in the title.
There you go.
So there we go.
My other bad this isn't so much about the movie. It's just poor Beatrice. The dog.
Yeah, that poor dog.
Poor dog has to put up with those two owners. Meg and Hamilton.
Pretty awful.
Yeah, they're just awful, annoying people who I can't imagine anyone would ever want to be around, let alone be a dog owned by them. A performing dog. So, poor Beatrice.
Ugh.
Although Kipper seemed happy.
Yeah, yeah.
He was having a good time.
Likes to watch. Takes notes, too.
Oz, what's your one huh?
I want to know, how did Jerry end up with Cookie with a history like hers?
Yeah, that's
like,
one of my possible huhs. Yeah.
How did their paths cross? Yeah. And then she, like, you know, I'd love to hear that backstory, because he clearly was not one of her, you know, escapades.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd love to see how that worked out. And so that's my huss. How did Jerry end up with Cookie with a history like hers?
Yeah, did they meet at a bar? Were they set up? You know, was it a blind date? You know, how did they encounter each other? And how did that... And what does she find attractive in him?
Right. I would love to know. How about you? What's your huh?
So that was one of my possible huhs. What happens to Leslie Ward Cabot?
Oh, I'm sure he died.
Because I mean, we really only see him at the beginning, and you know he's with Sherry Ann, and they clearly have a highly engaged relationship.
Very much so, yeah.
So what happens to him? What's his story?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Is he aware of Sherry Ann and Christy?
I doubt it.
And if so, what are his thoughts?
Yeah. Oh my. He reminds me of like the shrunken head guy in Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
He's just big eyes, just kind of there, not saying a word.
My better half thought that he was Blue from Old School.
Oh, from Old School, I could see that.
And I know that actor as a performer from the old Late Night with Conan show, where he played a very old, decrepit Dracula in one bit. With a young, much more attractive female that he was seducing.
Oh, I'll have to look for that one.
I'll have to find that on YouTube and send it to you. It's the bit is called the erotic. Was it the erotic vampire or something like that? With him being the erotic vampire. So folks, that's 2000's Best in Show, helmed by Christopher Guest, the master of the Mockumentary Forum.
We've got 1 week left.
We got one more this month. What do we got in store next week, guys?
We are going to wrap up this month with another movie you have not seen before. The most recent of all the mockumentaries we've covered so far. We're going to cover Andy Samberg and Lonely Island's pop star, Never Stop, Never Stopping. I have only seen it one time, and it's been a few months ago. Mm-hmm. So movies like this have so much throwaway material that I'm sure, even though I'm aware of what the plot line is because I've seen the movie. So much of it is going to feel fresh because throwaway stuff is quickly forgotten until you've seen it on repeat viewings. Yeah. I do remember really enjoying this movie. It is very funny. If you're familiar with the original SNL digital shorts, The Lonely Island was behind many of those. Lazy Sunday, I'm on a Boat, D in a Box.
Yeah, the thing in a box.
Yeah. And so, plus many, many more. So these guys are very talented, very funny, and they're all on screen. They play members of a pop group that breaks up, and then, finds their way. But it is very, very funny. So I'm very looking forward to sharing that with you, the viewers, and you as well, Curtis.
I'm looking forward to it.
I think it's going to be one that you also find a lot of joy in. There's a lot, I won't call it a lot of similarities with Walk Hard, but it's in that vein of, there are a lot of, if I remember correctly, there's a lot of musicians in the movie playing themselves, and it's just, you hear of historical fiction. Yeah. This is almost like modern day fiction where we're going to create these people and insert them into what the pop world probably is like around this time, and let them navigate and as if they were real. So it's a lot of fun. And I think Andy Samberg's funny anyway, so.
The wrong kid died.
Right. And so, actually, I was watching. I've seen 2 members of Lonely Island and Paul Rudd movies this last week.
Oh yeah.
I was shuffling through Plex and watched Role Models with Paul Rudd and Sean William Scott. It's been a while since I've seen that. It's a fun movie, David Wayne movie, and Jorma of Lonely Island is in that movie. Very small role. One of those I saw. I'm like, wait, is that the guy from Lonely Island? And it is. And then my wife and I watched I Love You Man with Paul Rudd and
also a fun movie.
Jason Segel, and Andy Samberg is in that movie as Paul Rudd's gay brother, who, much like Stefan in this movie, he likes to challenge himself by hitting on straight guys just to see who's interested. So, but yeah, that also was a very fun movie. A lot of Reno 911, Upright Citizens Brigade, state people in that movie. Thomas Lennon and of that ilk. But yeah, both very fun movies. So yeah, Pop Star Never Stop Never Stoppin' will be on our radar for next week. So that's it pretty much for the show. You know where to find us. All your favorite podcast apps. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Patreon if you want to help us out. If not, that's fine. We do this because we love it. You got anything before we sign off?
No, just looking forward to Pop Star Never Stop Never Stopping next week.
No, it's a fun one. So, all right. Well, listeners and viewers, thanks for spending some more time with us this week. We really enjoy your company, even though you never leave comments below, you never leave reviews, you never rank us or rate us or anything like that. We'd love it if you'd start doing that so that we could get some feedback on what we can do, or better yet, give us some feedback on things that we can ignore, so we'll just continue doing what we're doing.
I don't want to resent our listeners, Oz.
I don't either. Don't make us do this for us. Keep letting us think we're doing it for you. So, all right, give us a shout out somewhere. We'd love to expand our listener reach. But right now we're like early Blink-182. We're like the faithful or big fans, and nobody wants to share because they don't want other people to listen. Or like what Metallica's going through right now with the whole Stranger Things. What's the puppet album?
Master of Puppets.
Where like old Metallica fans are mad because Stranger Things introduced them to introduce new Metallica fans.
Whatever.
And Metallica's like, you guys all started somewhere.
Yeah.
I saw a meme that's like, guys, don't pretend that you didn't hear Bohemian Rhapsody for the first time on Wayne's World. Like, come on. So, let us be your master of puppets. Share us with the world. Let us be your Kate Bush running up that hill.
Great song.
Share us with the world. It really is a great song. So, all right, but for another week, I'm Oz.
I'm Curtis.
And we will see you guys next week.